Oh, it's that sickening feeling you get when you drop your iPhone on the concrete, you pick it up, and of course, it's shattered. So what do? Do you go to the Apple Store? Do you go to one of those questionable places in the mall because they're a little bit cheaper? Or do you try and replace it yourself? I'm going to show you how you can replace your own iPhone 6 screen for only about 30 bucks in about 30 minutes. Let's jump in and take a look. Hey everyone, Jeff Andrews here, bringing you ideas, tips, and tools on everything from do-it-yourself projects to tech. On this channel, we do all kinds of tip videos and blog posts just like this one. If you find this useful, I do hope you'll subscribe and check out the blog posts so you don't miss out on anything. Let's jump right into today's video. So you've got a cracked iPhone. You're curious if it's hard to replace. I'm going to show you here in just a few minutes how you can replace your own iPhone 6 screen. Now, the first couple of things you'll need to order a replacement screen. And you can see here, I've got this kit that I ordered. I actually ordered this one on Amazon. It was about 30 bucks. The one thing you'll want to do is look on the back of your iPhone for the model number and ensure you order the right replacement screen. When your screen arrives, it will usually come with a set of tools. Those tools are going to give you everything you generally need to replace the screen. There'll be a couple of specialty screwdrivers, a suction cup, it's prying tools. The first thing you want to do, make sure you turn off your phone. Power down your phone completely and ensure it's turned off. Then we're going to use the tool set to open up the case. Now there should be a special screwdriver that has 5 prongs on it that you'll use to remove the 2 screws on the bottom of your iPhone 6. Now let's remove those 2. And let's carefully put them somewhere where you won't lose them. I use the top of the box here that the new screen came in, and keep those screws where you know which ones go where. Now that we've gotten the screws out, we can now put the suction cup on the front toward the bottom of the phone, and slightly pry outwards or pull outwards. And as we're pulling outwards, the phone screen will start to separate from the chassis or the body. We'll use one of these plastic tools to simply, around the edges, start to pry very carefully the edges out. Do that evenly around the sides and around the bottom, as you can see here. Now that we've gotten it apart, we can slowly pull the top part of the phone off, but be careful to keep the top portion of the phone together because there are some ribbon cables here connecting the screen to the phone body. Now there are going to be 5 screws here in the upper right hand corner that we need to remove. And these 5 screws, we'll simply use the Phillips head, the small Phillips head that came with the screen repair kit to replace these 5 screws. Now, one thing to note, these 5 screws are not all the same length. One of them is longer. So you'll notice as I take them out and I place them here over to the side, I'm going to put them in a similar layout to how they were on the phone. So I'm going to take out the 4th screw here. This happens to be the long one. And the final screw here. Once we get these 5 screws, these screws hold down the ribbon cables from the screen. There's going to be a little metal plate here. We're simply going to lift off this metal plate, and if you need to, you can use one of the plastic lifting tools. That exposes all of the ribbons, and I'm simply going to use one of my plastic pry bars to pry off and remove each one of those ribbon connectors. And there are 4 ribbon connectors here on the iPhone 6, as you can see. Now, when you look at the iPhone 6 screen, you'll see on one side we have the earpiece, and on the other side we have the button. And we're going to need to remove the button because we're going to reuse this button on our new iPhone screen. Now, the iPhone screen I ordered actually came with, at the top, the new earpiece. It actually came with a front-facing camera. So the only thing we've got to move is the button. And remember, on the iPhone 6, this button is a fingerprint scanner, so you typically cannot get these anywhere and replace these. So you want to reuse the one that you have on your original screen. So we're going to remove 2 screws. Again, place those where you'll know where they are. Lift off the metal plate here holding the button in. That should come off very easily. And then that exposes the button. Now the button is connected with 1 ribbon connector clamped down. Again, we're going to use our pry bar. And here toward the corner we're going to reach into one of the corners and pry off the connector. Once that connector comes loose, and we can press carefully on the button from behind and loosen the seal. There's a rubberized seal around the button which helps for the waterproofing, and that will loosen, and then you can simply lift the button out. Just set that button aside. Now we're going to set our old cracked screen away, and we're going to look at our new screen, and we're going to set that button very carefully into the button spot. And we can flip it over, make sure that it's aligned correctly. And then we're simply going to press that ribbon connector down so that it connects. You can press it with your finger. Make sure it's down and completely connected. We're going to replace the little metal connector or metal supporting clamp, and then we're going to use the 2 screws to secure that down. Again, these screws are very small, so keep them somewhere where they won't roll off the table or anywhere, because they're very hard to find if you lose them. The nice thing about replacing the iPhone 6 screen, say different than an iPhone 4, is there aren't that many screws. But some of the earlier iPhones have just an enormous number of screws that you've got to replace to get to the screen. Okay, now that we've got these 2 screws in place, we're going to be able to reconnect the top of the iPhone, the screen of the iPhone, with the chassis and the body of the iPhone. And remember, there are 4 connectors that you dislodged earlier. We're simply going to, from the bottom connector, we're going to reconnect those. So we're going to align the first one and press it down, the second one, the third one, and then finally the last one. Make sure those all feel sealed. And then we're going to replace the metal protector or cover holding those 4 ribbon connectors down. Now, you can put the screws back in any order. I chose to put the bottom one in. Usually those ribbons will pull a little bit on the top of the cover there. So I usually like to get the easy ones in place first here on the bottom and then work my way up. Remember that you do have one of these. It's a longer screw. That one goes in the upper right position. And these screws, you want to make them tight. You don't want to over tighten them, because you can strip the screw head pretty easily. So just to tighten them until they're fairly tight, hand tight, and that will be sufficient. Okay, now that we've got the 5th screw in place, carefully watch those ribbon cables so they don't crink or tear, because they are thin. We're going to align the top of the phone, and we're going to press the top down and up to make sure it's sealed all the way up against the top of the body. And then simply snap the sides in place, snap the bottom in place, make sure everything is aligned, look very carefully to make sure it's sealed correctly. Now, before we put the bottom 2 screws in, I'm going to go ahead and turn the power on, because at this point, if you replace the screen and got the connectors on correctly, you should see the phone power on. So everything looks good. We're going to power the phone off. And now I'm simply going to replace the bottom 2 screws using the specialty screwdriver with the 5 points. Again, hand tight is suitable. The second screw here. And that's all there really is to replacing the screen on your iPhone 6. The iPhone 6s is very similar. And as long as you order the right model for your phone, you shouldn't have any trouble. Peel the sticker off and you are ready to use your phone with its brand new screen. So hope that helps out. Hope you saved a few dollars here and had some fun in the process. Be sure to check out the Everyday Man blog at everydayman.blog, where you can read additional posts and see other videos very similar to this one.